Okay, yes, I don't mind. Can you please attend to 6 people in the waiting room?
Yeah, we have one left now.
SQL Server. You go in here to Google and then you try and click on SQL Server. First, let's do this SQL Server 2022. I want the download. So if you click on this one, and I should have, you see, it says you can even learn here, which is good. No, I'm not watching the video. I want the downloads. Click on downloads. Okay, yes. I have the downloads here. I don't need the Azure. I don't need the SQL. Okay, that's for IoT. No, I don't need that either. I need this, the on-premise one, the black one or gray one as you want it. And then you click on download. It's going to ask you to just put in your name and everything like that in there. And then it will allow you to download. It's going to take some time. Okay, so I'm not doing that because I already have that downloaded. So you go in there and download. Okay, and I'm going to share once we have I will send you another video that will actually show you what the steps to take and the version of SQL Server to install. I will mention that here now. You install the Enterprise Edition. You see, the Enterprise, Microsoft has got quite a few different editions. They have the SQL Server Express, we have the SQL Server Standard, and we have the SQL Server Enterprise Edition. The SQL Server Express is free, but the features on it are very, very limited. They are very, very limited. They're just meant for practice and everything, but I don't like using that. Okay. And then the standard is a paid version, and also the enterprise is also a paid version, and also which I forgot to mention, and we also have the developer edition as well. The developer edition is the version you're going to install, and the developer edition is got the full functionality as like an enterprise version. It's got the full functionality, and it is free, but it's free on one condition, and the condition is that you cannot use it for any commercial purpose. You cannot use it for any, you can use it to practice, you can use it to do any other thing, but not on a commercial basis. Okay? So, and that is why I use it. And it is, it doesn't expire. If I go for the standard or I go for the enterprise, either of them, I can also install them and use them, but I can only install and use them for 180 days. After the 180 days, it expires. Okay, but with the developer edition, it doesn't expire. But the caveat is do not use it for commercial purpose. Okay.
So the one you want us, to download is the developer edition.
Developer edition, yes.
So do you want us to do it now?
No, it's going to take time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you
because
do it.
I have because I have already in preparation for this training, I have downloaded the basic one.
Yeah, you can use the basic one too if you want. You can.
Okay, but if you're saying that the developer is the best one, but you said it's paid for.
No. The developer is free.
Oh, okay.
It is free, but you cannot use it for
commercial purposes.
Okay. You have all the functionalities, so you can see all the functionalities that comes with SQL in there. Okay. All right. Where's my screen again? Yeah. Fortune, you're raising your hand. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Sorry, there's a bit of background noise. Sorry. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's echoing.
Okay, I'll just
Are you
put it in
logged?
the
Are
chat
you logged
box.
in with on two devices?
No, I'm using my AirPods.
Yeah, it's echoing. Okay, go ahead. Olakunle, is there any question for me?
Yes. Just to be clear, to download the SQL, because they are different on the amount.
Yes, you can see my screen now.
Yes.
You see, this is the the on-prem, right? And this is the developer edition.
Right.
Okay, you can see download a free special, right? It's free, but you cannot use it for. You can see that test database in a non-production environment.
Right.
Okay, so this is the version that you need to download.
All right.
Okay, this developer edition. All right.
Okay.
Once you have downloaded that, there's still one more that you need to download, and because this is just the engine, the database engine, and for you to be able to access that software, you still need another software that will connect to it, and that is, come in here again, and I type in SSMS, should bring me that, and that is this software. So if I click on this one, and then I can download, it says here, download SSMS. I already have it, so, and then you can select, if come down here, where is that? Download SSMS. I don't want the Azure one. I want the English. Yeah, we don't have a choice. We can only use the English United States. And then click on that, and then it started downloading. It's downloading onto my laptop now. Okay, once you download that as well, right click, install it as an admin, and then you can let me see if I can see my downloads. Let me see if I can see my downloads. Okay, it's still downloading. It takes a bit of time to the download because it's a big file. Okay,
So
once
what you're sorry, I have to sorry for the interruption.
you
What
download
you're saying, we can
SSMS.
download these things at our own time, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No, it takes time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we're going to share this video so you can follow the steps as well. I'm not, unfortunately, I can't show you this, but I'm going to send you another video that will show you how to do the installation as well. Okay.
And secondly, sir, is it okay I join with two devices, because so I use one to follow along and the other one to practice what we have to do?
Yeah, you can. Just make sure that muted, so that there won't be, at least one is muted. There won't be a bounce back. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you can see it's download. You can see that now it's done, but looking at it. Okay, let me see if I can bring that to bear here. Look at that here. That is that one here. And if I want to install it, I right click on it and then I'll run as administrator. Okay, I already have it. So, and if I click on it now, it's going to waste our time. Okay, so I'll just minimize that. Okay, so what is SQL? I guess you can see my screen. Yeah. What is SQL and how do you mean? And this now brings me to the reason why I actually went through the a bit of introduction from people earlier, is that we all know about data, but data is a collection of information, be it structured and unstructured. When we're talking about SQL, SQL is a structured data collection application. Okay, we also sorry, 1 second. Frame from Nigeria. Okay. SQL is a structured database. What we mean by structure is that there is coordination, or there is a relationship, there's a link between the tables, and also not just the tables, the columns as well that is in the table. I'm going to go into that shortly. And also we have the unstructured data, which is where Python, Jide's side of things, will be coming in. We have unstructured data. We want to bring them into a structured environment for us to be able to mesh them with what the business data which we already have. And an example of this is this. We all have a bank account, okay? When you opening the bank account, they collect information from you, which is your first name, possibly your middle name, your last name, your date of birth, your gender, your phone number, your email address, your address, home address, right? And some other types of information. This information are structured in the sense that when you look at it, you look at the application form, they are structured. You have your first name, you have your middle name, you have your last name and everything. And this is going into one compartment. And then the other bit which you may go to other compartment is your address, your phone number and everything. Though when you look at it on the form, on the application form, everything is in one place. But in the background, this is actually not the case. They are split out, okay? But then also we have data which we get from, say for example, you go on to the internet, you open, like I opened Chrome earlier, and I went into Amazon, and then I logged in, even if I didn't log in, and then I went into Amazon and I began to search for products. And this product, from one product, I went to another product, from another product, I went to another product. And there was one which I was following through. Maybe it started from category, and then I began to look at different vendors within selling that product within Amazon. And then I go. Maybe from 10, it streamed down to 2. And then at the end of the day, I just abandoned it. I didn't buy nothing and I left. That information is also very, very useful, right? And that is what is used for data science, machine learning, okay? But for this data to be made useful, it needs to be collected and put into a bit of a structure, okay? And that is what Jide would teach you how to do with Python, and then Coblo will assist as well. Okay, but in my own side of the bargain is that we work on majorly structured data. Then we work with a little bit of unstructured data, but we bring them in and we give structure to them based on the business need. Okay, based on the business need. All right. So now, everybody, do you know what a database is? Unmute yourself, ask me, answer my question. Everybody, you can unmute yourself. Do you know what a database is?
Yeah, I think it's just a pool of information. Yeah.
It's just a pool of information.
Stored in a particular place.
It's a collection. It's a collection of data in tables and sorry.
Yeah, that is more like it. Yeah.
More of a structured collection of structured data sets.
Yeah, it's a collection of structured data and stored in a software, okay, which in our case is our SQL server, SQL server, okay, 2022 we're going to be using. And okay, so the data in a database, how do you think this data gets into the database?
Probably from different activities that's been done. From the example you made from Amazon, where people go in, to click on different things. I'm sure at the back ends, all those activities are being monitored. They could go there, get all those data, and then structure them in a particular format that can be put into their own data.
Okay. All right, yeah, close to it. Thank you. Okay.
Well, I think they're being created by, I thought they are being created by data administrators or something.
Okay.
I think this kind of data are data collected from primary sources, which may differ from environment. Might even be on a traffic line, maybe people boarding bus, supermarket, eatery, office, schools, but they are collected from the primary source. Like school now, maybe a school enrollment might be collected like the one we're doing now, like having our data when we are enrolling. A supermarket might be from people as they are buying. They might even be people on the queue, might be people on the queue at the rail station or going to a particular direction based on their tickets. So they are collected from primary sources, from various primary sources.
Okay, collection from primary sources, but what is the means of this collection?
It might be directly, like like collection from register. Some might be by survey or sample collection by something like questionnaire, distribution of questionnaire, survey or something like that.
Yeah.
But some might be just directly from the books, like registered, the tickets, like I said, and the hospital
filling of forms and all that.
Filling of forms and all those in hospitals.
Okay, but then when you fill the form, is it paper form or digital form?
Might be, but mostly
Might
might be paper, might be digital. If it is digital, those ones are easily collected and put together because they are already software. They can be translated to a proof. But the one from paper might need to be translated from hard copy into soft copy before they are being processed.
Okay, let me assist here.
Okay.
So, I think there are several means of data collection for a database. So it can be through importing from external sources and from maybe spreadsheet text files or other digital sources. It can as well be through manual entry, where you can get maybe from involving manual entering of data into a database through web forms, APIs, sensors or IoT devices, as the case may be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Kafilat.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, Kafilat.
Yeah. The data collection has been giving me quite a headache for a while because there was a time I got a notification on Facebook, on my Facebook page. So when I logged in and I go to the settings, I was quite shocked to see my current address on Facebook, although it wasn't showing to the public. So ever since then, I've been wondering, I've been trying to get to the source that I didn't put this here on Facebook. How did this get here? So I was quite, I don't even know. I don't know the source of the
Can I tell you how that got in there?
No, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you log into Facebook, right, you have your location on.
Yeah.
Yep. So at that point in time, Google knows where you are. When you are in your bedroom and with your phone and you have your location on, Google knows it knows the part of your house that you are in.
Wow.
Right? So my advice is turn off your notification, 1. 2 is irrespective of you turning on or off your notification, this is outside of the class. Irrespective of you turning in or off your location, your device, once it's connected to the internet, Google, the internet knows your geolocation. The internet knows your geolocation. So that's why we always tell people to be careful. You see people who are shady, they will not use smartphone. They will not use.
They will not use what?
They will not use smartphone.
Okay, smartphone.
Yeah. They will use smartphone. They will use the number lock or whatever that old phone is. You know, those Nokia, analog phones. They will, because why? They don't want their location to be known. All right. So that is where you got that from.
All right. So
you can go in there and you can go in there and just leave your postcode in there.
So is it from what you're trying to say now, is it not safe to leave the location on the phone?
It is no, you turn on your location when you need it.
Okay.
When you need it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Turn it off. But then another thing with Facebook and all this stuff is that they will not display your address.
Yeah.
If you select it to be hidden.
Yeah.
That is if you select it to be hidden. If you do
Yeah.
not, then it will be displayed. And also your email and your phone number as well. Okay. But then also be careful when you take pictures and you post it online or wherever you post it. There is every picture you take on your phone or whatever, the geolocation is embedded in it as well.
Yeah.
So anybody looking at that who knows how to go about it can actually get the location of that where you took that picture.
All right, so thank you very much, sir.
Right.
Sorry, another thing is this location of a thing. I'm sorry to be diverting a bit, but it seems confusing to me. I've got a Google Family link where I usually track all the kids. Their phones are kind of attached to mine in order to see some certain things.
So
How
yeah,
do I
well, if you have that,
are.
then you can't turn off your location, because that family link needs your location as well. It will be able, because we need to calculate the distance between where you are to where they are.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, Adekunle.
Yeah, data collection involve systematic gathering and recording of information, and you can get them through surveys, interviews, observation, experiments, and you can get them through open source. They are open sources. There are things that we can find around on the internet.
Okay, thank you. But we're all talking about data coming in from surveys, from shops and all the stuff like that. How do we get your own data? How do your bank get your data?
So based on the information we give to them.
Okay. Okay, let me even use School of Mentoring. How did we get your data?
We fill your application form or registration form. Okay. That's how you got our data.
Okay. Now, you completed that. For us to be able to have that data, right, we must have, the front end is what you saw on our website. But behind that website, there is a database.
Yeah.
Okay. So you look at it for anything, any software you're using, there is always a database of one form or the other behind it. Either a structured database or an unstructured database. Bear in mind, I said structured or unstructured. Right? Some tools that you use, their backend is an Excel file. We are familiar with Excel, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excel is the first database that we can use. Yeah, people look at it and said, no, it's a database. But unfortunately, it's just that we didn't, when, I spoke about structured and unstructured, but now I'm going to be more focused on the structured side of things as well. And then when we now have on the structured side, we have Excel, which is our first basic database. And Excel is a, how do I put it? It's a non-relational database. We have, within a structure, we have relational and we have non-relational. And what do I mean by relational? You see, when you have, let me use this analogy. A database is just like a house. Okay, you look at a building, the house, that is a database. But then the house from outside, you don't know what is inside. You don't know the layout inside. But there's only one way you can get to know the layout, and that is through the door.
Access.
Through the door. And that door, in this case, is our SQL, our SSMS, which I asked you to download. Your database, okay, let me reframe it a little bit. We have a neighborhood. Let's say we have an estate, okay? We have an estate, which is now, that estate is now our SQL Server, which I asked you to install, okay? But you know, within that estate, within an estate, you have so many different houses of different sizes and shape. But let's just take one house out of the lot. That house is not our database, which we are interested in. In this case, is our Northwind database, which we're going to install, right? Is our Northwind database. Remember, we have an estate, which is our SQL server, and within that estate, we have houses, but then we are focused on our Northwind database, which is, okay? But then for us to see what is in Northwind database, we need an access, and that access is our SSMS. So that SSMS will plug into the estate. That SSMS will now gives us the window of all the houses that are within that estate. The ones, and then there will be fallow lands as well that are not built on right now, which we can build, right? So that SSMS gives us that access, and we can see everything. And then we say, okay, I want to actually look at the Northwind database. Okay, through that, we can access the Northwind database, and then we can now go into the Northwind database to see what Northwind database consists. To see what Northwind database consists. And in there, we now have our tables. Our tables now is represented by the rooms in the house. Okay, our table is represented by the rooms in the house. But then I go into the first room. The first room is room 1. Let me take it as customer. Okay, that is room 1. But then we still have some other rooms. We still have some other rooms. So we have another room which is employees, right? And then we have another room which is suppliers. But how did you now know that this customer actually knows this employee, and this employee actually knows this supplier, right? There must be a relationship between them, and that is there has to be a door from customer's room that will lead us to what?
Employees room.
To the I'm not saying you there. To the employees room. Okay. If there is no link between employees room or a door between employees room and customers room, then there's no relationship between them. And then there is a door between employees room and the suppliers room. But you now look at it again, is that look at the employees room. It's in the middle, right? But the employees room has got link or door to the suppliers room, and also got another door to the customer's room, right? So even if the customer do not have direct link to the supplier, I can from the customer room go into the employees room, and from the employees room I get into the suppliers room. That is an example of relationship. Okay, that door that is linking either the employee to the customer or the employee to the supplier is called, we have primary keys and we have foreign keys. I'm going to be showing us shortly. We have primary keys and we have foreign keys. Okay, so that is the primary key and the foreign key. So let's go on to doing a bit of demo. Okay, you can see my screen. All right, you can see here, this is my SSMS. You can see here, I have my server, which is my estate. This whole lot is my estate. So this is my server. You can see I have houses. I have the security post. I have the, which
Sorry,
is here.
can't see your screen now. Sorry.
Can you? Oh, you can't see my screen? It
No,
should
sir.
be on. It's showing me that my screen is on. Okay, let me
can see it, sir.
We can see the screen, sir. We can see the screen, sir.
Okay, all right. So this is my houses, right? And this is another type of house, which is security. I'm not going to be going into that. And this is another type of house. This is another type of, all these ones are all the type of houses. But the one which we're interested in is this one, which is this type of houses within the estate, which is our databases. I'll click on that. It opens it up. You can see the number of different houses which we have within the estate. Like I said earlier, I have this, which is my north wind. If I do not have, let me show you this. This is my SSMS. Let me show you here. Once I installed it, no, come on. Where's my programs? Okay. Okay. So this is my SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. Once you install it, it's going to be like this on your laptop, on your machine as well. Okay. But I've actually created a shortcut onto my bar here. So it's here. That is it here, which is this one. Okay. So when I need to open it, I just click on it. You can see that. That's the main software. And then these are the files which I've saved. Okay. So I come into here, and this is my database now, Northwind. We're going to be installing that. And within that, my database, like I said, I have different rooms. And my different rooms, one of them, the most important for us, is one, the tables. Jide, can you please help me admit the people that are just joining?
Yes, I've done that, but we have someone called Lola O.
Yes, she should do the needful. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I have my tables here. I don't want to go into the other bits yet first. Let me just concentrate on this. I have my tables. And I expand on it. And then these are the different rooms. You can see here I have customer. Disregard this. It's part of my training. So I created those. I have my tables, which is this one. No, this one. I have a clean one. Sorry, I have a one that is clean. Do I have it still? I don't. Okay, I have to clean this up. Okay, so I have my tables. All these ones are my tables. Okay, and this is where information is stored. If I open up one, let's look at the customer, which is quite easy one. And then I expand on this. You see a table is an entity within a database, and it is represented by columns and rows. I will come back out of this very shortly. Columns and rows. So I have my columns here. And then you can see here, these are the information that we have collected regarding the customer, relating to the customer, the information collected relating to the customer. And I said and, they are unique to that customer. A customer or every row in a database, right, has to be unique. Though there are times when we have duplicates and they're necessary, but when you are talking about a transactional database, right, you need to have the data in that has to be unique, except when you're looking at the transactional tables, which I will come back to later. But when you're coming to entities that describe, the properties that describe an entity, then it has to be unique. Like, you cannot have Yinka Balogun 1 and Yinka Balogun 2. You can, but the Yinka Balogun 1 and Yinka Balogun 2, there must be something that would differentiate 1 from 2. Either our date of birth is not the same, either our gender is not the same, or either our home address or phone numbers are not the same, right? But if it is the same me, Yinka Balogun, then my record can only appear once. Okay, my record can only appear once. And here are the things that are, and here you see this one, which is the customer ID. They are called the primary key, and that is what PK stands for here. PK stands for primary key. And that primary key is the unique identifier. If the primary key, if I have Yinka Balogun 1, Yinka Balogun 2, and the primary keys is 1 and 2, then we can have 2 Yinka Balogun, even with the same other information, the same thing. But one thing has differentiated us, and that is the primary key, which is the customer ID in this case. The customer ID is 1 for Yinka Balogun 1, the customer ID is 2 for Yinka Balogun 2. That separates us. That makes it unique. Because when I type in where customer ID equals 1, it's going to bring only Yinka Balogun that the primary key is 1. And if I type in 2, it's going to bring just that 1. But where we're going to have the 2 come back is where I said where customer name like, and then it will return back whatever rows that matches that condition. Okay, so you can look at it here. We have this is supposed to be customer because because it's a company, that's why they name it as company name. We have company name, you have the contact, which is the contact within that company, right? And that's the contact title, and that's the address, the city, and all the stuff like that. So this is a collection of related data regarding that entity put into one row. Okay, let me now do a demonstration for us. Let's leave this. Let's go into Excel. Come in. I'm looking for that to open. Okay, so the same thing which we have. I told you Excel is our first database. Now, in Excel, this is our column, and this is our row. The intersection between the column and the row is where you enter the data. This intersection is where you have your data points. The intersection between column B and row 1 is where you have that data for that point. And the same thing goes on like that. All right. So now let's create that. We have the customer ID, which we have in that database, customer ID. Okay. We have the company name. Company name. We have contact title. What is the next one? One sec. Contact title, and then we have address, and we have the city, we have the region, okay, and we have postcode, we have country, when you have the phone number. I'm going to skip the fax. Okay, let me put it there, fax, and then we have the email. Okay, those are the columns there. Okay, so now I want to, just for clarity here, I want to put this as customer name, right? And okay. Makes it, because I don't want to use company. I'll use customer name here, okay? So customer name here is Yinka. The customer name is just one block, okay? Customer name is Yinka. What's its title? Tutor. Okay, that's my title. What's the address? London. EC1. Whatever. EC1. And here is city is still London. And the region here is also still London. And the postcode is EC1. And the country is United Kingdom. And the phone number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't have a fax, and the email at email.com. Okay. Okay. See, we have collected this information. I can repeat this. Copy and paste it here. Right? It's still the same thing. Oh, but you see, if I type in, if I want to search for now, right, Yinka Balogun, there is, I know I have 2 rows in here. There is no unique identifier because the 2 rows are the same. Everything is the same. And that is where the primary key comes in, the customer ID. What is the customer ID for this one? Let's assume that the customer ID for this one is 001. I don't want that. I want it to be text. Okay. Okay. And then I want the second one to be 002. Let's assume that the 2 Yinka Baloguns are separate people, but they live in the same household. One is the father, one is the son. They share the same name. Okay. But what is missing, what will have actually differentiate them again is probably we have the gender here, but in this case, we don't have the gender. Okay. So this primary key is unique for every row. I cannot have 2 of this. Yinka Balogun 001 again. A primary key is a unique identifier of that record. A unique identifier of that record. And if you go on to Google, which I probably will send you some material to read upon that, it will tell you what a primary key is. Now, this is our first table. Let's go to our next table. I can rename this table as customer. Customers, it's plural. And then I can open another one. And then here I have employee ID. I have employee name. I have title, job role. Let's go, job role. Manager. And start date. Okay, end date. And gender. Okay. Here, let's put the employee one as Tunde Ajayi. His role is administrator. Manager is Ayo. Joby Stevens. Joby Stevens. His start date is 02/01/2018. There's no end date, and then is still on employment, and then is male. Okay. And his ID is, let's do that as, I'm doing the E for employee 0001. Okay, and take a copy of that. I'll do 02. And this time around is going to be Jide. That will do. And his job role is tutor. And let's leave everything else. So we have two here. So this is now my employees table. And then I come here, I create another one. Supplier ID. I have supplier name. Here I have address. Address, phone number, start date, because we want to know when the supplier started with us. Active or not, 1 or 2, and I'll leave it as that. Okay, I have here supplier, let's call it JJ Supplies. Address is somewhere in Erith. And the phone number is, and the start date is started on the 24th of February 2022, right? And it's still active. So active is 1, okay? And then we'll have a supplier ID. So I put it S1, S1. Let's put it as S1. Let's do another supplier. Let's do another supplier. This is S2. And this supplier is Emirate Limited. Okay, and this one is in Tottenham. Okay, and the phone number, I just leave it as that. And then this one started in 01 of 6 of 3 of 2021, and it's still active. Okay, sorry, done the wrong thing here. Okay, and it's still active. And then I have this one is suppliers. And then let me do one more. And here I have product ID. I have product name. I have category. No, let me have product name, product description. I have category. And also I have description is not that
quantity.
Quantity. Okay, let's put it that way. Okay, so here I have product 222, and that is canned Coke. Mineral. No, I'll just call it fizzy drink. Okay, and category is drinks, and the quantity is 200 cartons. Okay, just leave it at that for now. Let's do another one. And then call this one 3. And that is Crips. Potato chips, Crips. Okay. Snack. Under these, let's call it food. I'll just give it food, and this quantity is, let's even say it's just 50 boxes. Okay, 50 boxes. Now, you see from here, we have our customer, unique customers. We have the employee. We have the suppliers. We have, this is our product. But you look at it here, in a relational database, right? There is no relationship whatsoever between all these 4 different entities that is in our database. And that is why Excel is always referred to as a flat file. It's a flat file. It is flat. There's no relationship. Though I can create a relationship. For people who are very used to Excel, who can program with Excel, you can now use what is called a VLOOKUP or an HLOOKUP to transverse from one tab worksheet to the other. Okay, but then even for you to be able to do that, you still have to create that relationship between the two. If I want to do a VLOOKUP from this table to employee, there's nothing that can link me. So these two are flat. So for me to create a relationship between this is somebody. I don't want to deal with this. Okay, so if I need to create a relationship between these tables. And how do I create that relationship? I will take, what is this? Let me even highlight these ones so I can see different color. Let's put it as red so that we can, as red. Because these are the unique identifier for each of these table and all the records within these tables. Okay, now you look at it. When you come into Tesco's, for example, you go in, you went in through the aisles and everything, you pick all your items you want to buy, and you get to the till, and you begin to machine. Let's assume you're not going to the self-service, you're going into to a manned till. The Tesco staff there, right, has logged in into the Tesco system and begins to machine your order. Okay, begins to scan. Boom, 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 boom. Because that staff has actually logged in, that client is now linked back to you, right? And if anything happens, someone say, "Oh, which staff attended to you?" I don't know, but then if you look at your receipt, the name of the staff will be there. So that is one. There's now created a relationship from that staff table to the client's table. So now, in relationship, you look at it, we have different types. We have, let me go into a separate sheet here. We have relationship. Sorry, I'm jumping about relationship. Okay. The relationships right? You have direct relationship and you have the indirect relationship. Indirect. Okay, but this time around, you're looking at the direct relationship. First of all, is you have to look for your primary keys. It's that's the major driver. Primary key. Okay, so your primary key will be from here, which is your primary key here, we'll go to another column here. We have to create another column here. So in this case, we have our primary key for customer, so the customer ID. But when you are assigning a primary key as a foreign key in another table, you have to look at it from the angle of which of these entities is the many side and which was the one side. Okay, so you have the customer. The use case which we normally use is that a customer is attended to by one or many staffs in Tesco. And the same thing, a staff can attend to one or many customers. So that is a many-to-many relationship. But you look at it another way, which is the one-to-many or one-to-one relationship. A customer can only be attended to at one particular time by one staff. It cannot be attended to by two staffs. It's just like in our training here now. You can only attend one of our classes, not two or three at the same time. Like here, you are here now, you cannot be in the BA class. Neither can you be in the PMO class. You can only be here. So a student, now I'm bringing it back home, a student can only attend one class at a time. Okay, so that is a student and the class and the subject will be a one-to-one relationship. No, sorry, one-to-many relationship, because a student can only attend one and only one class, but a class can be attended by one or many students. Is that making sense?
Yes, sir.
I want you to get the basics. That's why I'm going through this. A student can only attend one and only one class at a time, but a class is attended by one or many students at the same time. Like now, there are many of us in this class right now, right? So that is the many. The class is the many side, and the student is the one side, which is one student, one class. But the class on its own can take in many students. Okay, so when you are now assigning the primary key as a foreign key in another table, you assign the primary key from the many side. You apply the primary key on the one side to the many side. Is it confusing? I can see Benjamin, yes. I can see your face. Is it confusing?
Yes, that's confusing. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's come back in here. Okay. Our customer, in fact, let me create this one here. I hope it doesn't move. So I'll call this student. Okay. So you have student ID. I'll just do a little bit, not going to go into the student ID and then student name. Student ID, student name. Student ID 1 and the student name is UUU. Okay. And then we have the class. Classes. Okay, you have the class ID.
Sorry, excuse me about today. This student ID and student's name, are they both primary keys?
Yes, the ID, when you see ID, they are most of the time are. Yeah. Okay. But cool. Then there are times when the ID is just the ID is not enough. right? Which I will go through, which is you have what is called the composite ID. Okay, I will show you anyway. So you have the student class and then the class name. The class name. So the class ID is 22, right? And the class name is data engineering. Data engineering. I have another class 23, which is now business analysis. Okay. Let's have another student 2, and then you have YYY. Okay. So now we said what a student can only attend one and only one class. Okay. But a class, right, can have one or many students. Okay. So let's now say from here we have the student is 1 and the class can be attended by one or many students. For it to be a class, really, for this class to be a class, right, a functioning class, there must be at least one student. If there is no student, who are you teaching? You understand? So in this case now, for this class, you now look at YYY is, you now have the student ID here, which is now going to be foreign key because the student ID here is coming to here as well. So I can get the student ID here, which is going to be, well, let me don't do that. I'll just do 1. So if I want to see the students that are registered for this class, how do I see them? From this student ID. This ID links back to this. So I can have this class repeated now. And here I will have student ID 2. But you can see that means that this class is not active. There's no student registered for this class yet. But these 2 are registered for data engineering. That's it. Do you want me to go through this again, or you're okay?
I'm okay.
Anybody with any questions before I move on?
Well, okay.
Okay, good. So now we now look at this one. There, our original data is a customer will be served by how many?
One employee.
One staff.
One employee. One staff. The customer will be served by one staff.
And a product can be supplied by how many suppliers?
As many.
Multiple suppliers.
Okay. I deliberately asked this question. You see, this is now when you will hear people when you get to the industry, they will ask you, what is the business rule? Okay. What is the business rule? If the business rule says a supplier can only one supplier will supply one product.
One product.
That's the business rule. Some businesses will say one supplier, one product, right? No 2 suppliers can supply the same product. Okay, and some businesses will say, you know what, a supplier can supply X number of products. We don't care. And that is going to inform how you're going to place the primary key and the foreign keys. Okay, if it is one product, one supplier, then it's going to be a one-to-one relationship. One product, one supplier. But if it is one supplier, right, and it can supply 2 or more products, then it is one supplier, many products. And also, you can have a situation whereby you have one product can be supplied by one or many suppliers. In this case, it becomes many to many. The way you're going to place the primary key as the foreign key is going to be different as well. Okay, now I will take you back to our Northwind database. Okay, so look at it here. The primary key for this is the customer ID. The next one I want to look at is the employee table, and that's the primary key. Okay, the next one is the products table. That's my products table. And you can see here, I have the primary key here. I have the supplier ID and I have the, and look at this key here. The first one here, you can see it's black or gray, right? And the key head is facing inwards. And compare that to this one as well, and to this one as well. When you see a key sign like this, that means it's a primary key. You will always see it will come with the PK. PK stands for primary key, okay? But when we come down here, you see the supplier ID in the products table. And also we see the category ID in the products table. And the key head is facing outward, and it's white or gray. Sorry, like it's not dark, so it's white, right? And you will see the FK next to it as well. FK stands for foreign key, meaning is the primary, this key is a primary key in another table. And most of the time, the name of that primary key will be the name of the table where it's coming from. So foreign key will be the name of the table where it's coming from. In this case, I know straight away that this is coming from the supplier. That's the supplier ID, and that's the category ID. So if you go to the suppliers table, you can see that we only have the primary key in the suppliers table, but in the products table, we have what? We have both primary and foreign keys. And this is what I mean by when I say meaning that a supplier, right, can supply one or many products. The product side is the many side. The supplier is the one side. It's one supplier to many products. Okay, so if I go in here, let's look for one of the suppliers here. Let me quickly do a cheat here before we begin to go into the details. Let's do a cheat here. You can see my supplier ID here. Okay, that's my supplier ID. I close that, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, but let me pick 1 and 2. I close that, and then I come into the products table. And then here I can see that's my products table, but then you can see my supplier ID. So you can see that these 3 products are supplied by the first supplier, because you can see the product ID, sorry, the supplier ID is the same. One for these 3 products. So these 3 products are supplied by this one supplier. And you can see this one supplied by the same supplier, and these ones by the same suppliers. But you can now look at it as well, which is breaking down a little bit more, is that you can see one supplier to this product, but these products are now broken down into 2 different categories. That's the category ID. So meaning that a product can belong to one or many categories. Is it confusing?
Okay.
Please ask me a question as we go, please. So,
sorry, in this case now, will it be correct to say that the supplier ID and category ID are foreign keys?
Yeah, it's not that you're correct. That is the truth.
Okay, why the product ID here now is the primary key?
Yeah, the product ID is the primary key, but the supplier ID and the category ID, they are foreign keys. And that is what has been depicted here as well. You can see here, the supply ID is got FK to it, which is foreign key, and the category is got FK to it as well, foreign key.
Yeah, hello, sorry. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, from what what I can pick so far, it means that a foreign key in a particular table can be, I mean, a primary key in a particular table can be a foreign key in another table. Is that correct?
That is, yes, that's correct. That is how you create a relationship between tables. And if you remember my initial analogy where I said the door between, right?
Yes.
Yes, that is the foreign key, right? The door is that foreign key that creates that relationship between two tables.
All right.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Here we have two products on sharing the same category.
Yeah, category can be, yeah. It's just like, okay, let's look at it this way. When we say, let's look at drinks, right? When we are looking at drinks, how we do categorize drinks?
Okay.
We have drinks as the category, right? What is missing here, which we don't see, is subcategory. Okay. Coke is drink, bottled water is drink, right? Stella Artois is drink, right? Isn't it? They're all drinks. So they fall in that category of drinks. But now we can now begin to separate them when we begin to have subcategory. And that subcategory will now say, oh, alcoholic drink or non-alcoholic drink, a subcategory. Okay. And the reason why all this is, we capture all these kind of data, and Sister Kenny, who is an accountant, will tell us, is that sometimes you want to, the business want to narrow down their source of income. You want to know what is selling, you want to know what is not selling. You want to know what is selling in this particular location, what is selling in this a particular season. You understand? So that is why we break things down, and that is why we capture. There's so many things which is not here, which we capture. Okay, so you will find products. When they say you have the product, you have the supplier. We can even break the supplier down into different categories as well. We can even break down. We've not actually included the stores here as well, which is another thing. Right? So the primary key is the unique identifier in the parent, that's the original table. But when you take that primary key into another table, it becomes a foreign key. Okay? It's no longer, because that is not his initial ideal home. He is a foreigner in that home. That is why it's called a foreign key. But that's because it is a foreigner, right? It creates that relationship. Let me use this analogy again. You see, for when you look at countries, and I'll use Nigeria and the United Kingdom. When they say we are fostering a relationship, Nigeria will send our own ambassador to the United Kingdom, which if the United Kingdom needs to speak to Nigerian government, they will go through the ambassador to speak to the Nigerian government. And the the United Kingdom will put our own ambassador in Nigeria as well. Nigeria government will communicate through that, just the same thing. Okay, but then when you now look at it also, is you now look at United Kingdom, you now said, okay, Nigeria embassy in London, we can have Nigerian embassy or Nigeria consulate in Belfast, which is part of United Kingdom. And we can also have in Scotland, we can have in Wales. But then when you look at it, okay, you look at it first of all, oh, the Nigerian ambassador, Nigerian embassy, but then the category is different. The main ambassador will be in London, right? The consulate will be in the other locations as well. So that is when you are categorizing. Okay. So that is how you create that relationship. And you will see the importance of this relationship very, very soon. Okay. Now you can see that I cannot go from customer here to employee because there's no relationship between them.
Sorry, Yinka, before you continue,
yes,
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick one. We are using SSMS, which clearly, indicates which is primary key and which is.
SSMS is not what
key.
is indicating. No, sorry, that's what is not SSMS. SSMS is just the software, which is this software that allows us to interact with the database in the back end.
Okay, how are you the one who imputed that key sign? Because I know that some databases, especially if you have Excel, if you have Excel, it may not show you what is primary key or what is foreign key.
No, Excel don't have this functionality. It's only available in databases. It's not available in Excel. Like I said, Excel is a flat file. Excel is regarded as a file, right? Though it's a mimic of a database, but it's not a relational database. It's just flat. Okay.
Sorry, in relation to that question, is it possible to identify or differentiate between primary key and foreign key without that key identifier or icons from when we see a particular database or whatever thing we're going to be working on? Is it possible to identify?
If it's a primary key, it has to be defined as such. Okay. It has to be defined as such. You want me to do something which I don't want to do here, but for me to demonstrate to you, let's do something. Let's create a database, a table. Okay. Let's create a table and I will cheat a little bit. I don't want to type. Okay. I've copied that script to generate that table, and this is the script. That table you are looking at, this is what created it. Okay. I didn't want to jump, but just for me to explain to you. Okay. And I'll leave the rest. So here, I've given the name, I'm saying create, which is the keyword when you are creating an object in SQL. Any object you are creating, an object is a table, is a view, is a function, is a stored procedure, is a schema, and is a schema, okay? And even constraint as well, right? So you also use the keyword create. And then I want to tell it what object I want to create, okay? In this case, I want to create a table. This is a schema, and I will come back to that at some point later on, not now. But this is always standard. By default, it is DBO, and DBO stands for database owner. This DBO you're seeing highlighted stands for database owner. And then the name of the object I want to create, in this case, is the customers table. So it's customers, okay? And then I begin, you can see the bracket here opens, and then it closes here. Right? From here to here, I am defining the properties of this table. I am defining the properties of this table. I can see a lot of you looking at it. Don't worry, you don't have to jump into the deep end like this when you're starting. Okay? You don't have to create a database. You don't have to create tables and everything. All you probably will need to do starting is to query which we're going into, but I want you to get the basics first before you begin to, okay? So most of the time you will have been given the business database or databases, as the case may be. You're not the one who created who's going to put data into it. You are going to be extracting data and manipulating data within it. But when you become proper data engineer, then you will create, when you're creating a data warehouse and stuff like that, which will, okay? So within this, which is the highlighted, I have defined the properties of the table I want to create. And here, you can see here, I've given the name, that's the customer ID, and I've given the data type and the size of that data type. That's my data type, mVoucher. We'll go into it maybe next week. And then the data, I'm sorry, the size. And I'm also saying here, not know that this column cannot be empty. When you are entering data into this table, for every row, this column cannot be empty, cannot be null. Null means empty, okay? Null means empty. It cannot be null, cannot be empty. And the reason is this. It's a unique identifier. And as a unique identifier, it has to be present in all the rows if you're entering the data. I cannot enter a row without having a unique identifier. There must be something that will identify it, which is our primary key. Okay, so yeah, I'm selling it, and then
that's like a mandatory field, right?
It's mandatory. Yeah, it's mandatory. When you see not null, it means that column is mandatory. But if you see null, meaning it is optional, you may enter or you may not enter data in this column. Okay, we'll do something in that plans now. And then here, you can now see here, and I said constraints. A constraint is a restrictor, right? A constraint is a restrictor. And when I'm saying, look, primary key, right, which is, I'm not going into this, which is clustered, that's why I said, which is a clustered primary key. There's clustered as a non-clustered primary key. But now I've now defined what I want to use as my constraint, and that is my my customer ID, which is this ID, which is this column rather. So, and I say is what? Primary. That is my primary key. I can rewrite this in another form, okay? But this is the way this one is, okay? So I have created this, right? So in this case, I want to recreate it. Let's recreate this as a new table. What should I call this? Let's call it client.
Sorry, sir. The figures there, the 40, 35, is it the lines and spaces?
No, it's not spaces. I said that's the size of that column.
Okay.
I will go into, yeah, I'm not going into it now. It's right. When we get there, I will explain what that means to you when we're looking at data types, okay? Because when you're looking at a database, you look at a database, right? You look at the database is stored somewhere, and that storage is not unlimited. It is limited, right? And that is, you are storing it on the hard drive, right? If it's on-premise, you are storing it on the hard drive, but you want to know the amount of space you are taking on that hard drive for this database, because you can have so many other things in there. Okay, so that is why when you are defining a table, you're defining the database as well, you will have to give the size. Though there is a functionality within the software that can expand that and contrast that. As the case is, as is needed, it can expand and contrast it. Okay. So I'll call this one client. Let me change this one to client ID as well. Just client ID. I'll call it client name. Client name. Most of these things I don't want them. Let me take the ones I don't want to worry about. I don't need this contract. Okay, let me leave this one. Okay, and you can see it has underlined this for me straight away because I've changed the name here. So that's why it's telling me, no, I can't find that in there anymore. Okay, no, it's client ID. Okay, it's plural. Okay, and okay, yeah, so that's it. And I'm creating it. You see, we don't have a table called client here currently, but it's going to show up now. And then I execute. What is wrong? I have customer ID. Where did I need to change something somewhere? Client ID.
Sorry, can it be the clients? You put S at the client.
No, the client. This is the name here. This one is
what
this
about
one.
the line of the create? You put client with S. Does it make any
Yeah,
difference?
that's the name of the table.
Okay, client.
That's this is
What
the
about
ID.
the constraint, the PK,
No,
the key?
no, the PK is there. It's already there. That's it here. Oh, this is where the issue is.
No,
Customer. Okay.
This is. And this is what you will go through as well. So let me see what else. So yeah, I should be fine now. Yeah, you can see. So if I do a refresh here now, and you can see that that's the table we just created. That's what we just created. So let me close this. Now I want to get data into this. Okay, I want to get data into this. You guys are making me jump. For me to get data into this manually, I do what is called insert into, and the table name, right? Insert into, and the table name, and then I say values. And then I begin each column. Because it's an M voucher, I want to put that in, and then 1. I always like to do this. 2, 3, 4. Or let me even teach you another way. Let me discard this. An easy way to do it. Do this, right click, and then you come in here, and then you see you see here it says insert into, right? Click on that, open in another window. It lists everything for me, which is just made it easy for me. So what I just have to do here is to come in and put in the values which I need to be here. So I want the ID to be AAB. That's the first one, and the client name is going to be JJ Limited. Okay, JJ Limited. What is this? Contact ID, contact name. Oh, Joe Blogs. And then I have title. I'll call this one admin, for example. Let me take this one out. When you are starting, you don't worry, you won't have to do all this. You won't have to do this, so don't get scared, but it's good for you to, it's the basic of starting. Okay, admin address. Just don't mind whatever I put in there. No, it's not double comma. And city is still, I'm going to do something, show you, okay. Okay, that. Okay, when you are, you made me jump, but when you are entering data into a table like this, one, you do insert into, which is you want to enter data into it, insert into, and then you give the table name, and then you have to list the fields which you have, which you are inserting data into. And if you come here you can see it says not null, which is this first one, which is this ID, and this is my ID. And the data type which is defined for here is enchar, which is a character, which is a string, which is non-numeric. Okay, so it cannot be null. There must be a value in here. And then this one also cannot be null. There must be a value. This one can be null, this contact. So if I want, I can actually put an empty here, or I can just no, I can put a blank in there if I want, because it allows null values. All these ones allow null values. And also, if you look at here, when I am entering the data, I have to be very, very mindful of the data type for each particular column. You see here, I have nvarchar, which is the same thing as the enchar, right? But there's a little bit of difference there, which when I'm taking you the data types next week, I will mention. Okay, and then you have the nvarchar. Find a majority of here they are nvarchar. So it's just two types of data type, which is basically one data type, but for your sake, it is two type of data here. We have the enchar, and then we have the nvarchar. Okay, the enchar is just a global, a universal character string. And the nvarchar is still the same thing, but it is just a variable string. Okay, nvarchar means it is variable. The var there is variable. Okay, and the char is character, which is letters. Okay, if it were to be numbers, then you either have it as numeric, decimal, int, big int, tiny int, and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you that next week. So now what I'm doing here is I want to insert data values into this table. And all I have to do here now is just to execute. So I'm saying insert into this table all these columns, and these are the values which you put into those columns. That's just basically what I'm saying here. That's just basically it. So, and I click on execute. And then you can see it says one row affected. That is, one row has been inserted. If I do if I now come down here and then say select staff from that table, and I do execute, and you can see what we've inserted now. So the record is now in that table. If I want to make a quick change, send the second one in. Let's change this to BB, and this one is still what did I call the other one? Gomi, and it's no longer Joe Bar. It is Jason. Jason, I don't want to use the same name. Jason Galvin. Okay, let's use this as and this one is now here it's that Ford, and that is Kent. That's Kent. And that is DS7 DG, and let's use the same email address. So, and then I've affected it, and then I should have two rows in there now, and then you can say. Okay. Now, this data the database will be supplied to you. You don't have to worry about this, except when you go further, right? But what you are trying now to do is now, the data is already in your database, is in your tables, right? You understand the relationship between your tables within your database. And for you now, it's now to begin to query this data. And that is by writing your SQL query to extract the data and do a bit of transformation. But remember, I said to you earlier that there is no relationship between the customer here and the employee here. There's no relationship, but there is a relationship between the product and the supplier and the category. So now, how do we now relate the customers and the employee and the product together? Because there's no direct relationship between them. And that brings me to where you have your transactional tables. You find that in most of these software, most of these applications that they use to run businesses, you'll have tables to define categorization within the business, which is what is the business doing, right? And then you'll have tables that will define the measures or the tangibles that the business is actually doing. The accountant will know this, which is what are we selling? How are we selling it? What is our numbers? And that is going to be either stored in what is called the sales table at some point, transaction tables, or depends on how the developer of that software, how they name everything. So the naming depends on the developer of the software. So in this case, for the Northwind, we have I'll have two tables. One is the orders table, which is now the link for all the categorization of the business, right? And to now link it to measurable figures. And that is the orders table. If I expand this, you see here, we have the primary key for that table, this table, which is the order ID. And then we have the customer ID, which is now coming from the customers table, relating to the orders. We have the employee, which is coming from the employees table. We have the order date, which is the date when the order was placed, the date when the order is required, and the date when the order is shipped. And then we have the shipped by, which is now the supplier. Sorry, yeah, that's the not the supplier, it's the shipper. In this case, is the shipper. And then we have the freight. I have the shipper's name and address and stuff like that. So you look at this one table, it's related to 1, 2, 3 other tables. So now I can from orders go to employee, I can from order go to customer, I can from order go to the shipper. But then there's still something missing. I can see, let's open that up. Let's do select onto that. I will teach you the select. We're going to go into that. I'm just explaining, just get the basics first. So you can see that's my customer ID. So you can see it's unique, that customer. You remember when I said one to many, right? The orders table is a customer can have one or many orders, 0 or many orders. Because when it's a new customer, the customer may not have placed any orders yet. But when the customer places an order, when it becomes a bona fide customer, it places an order, right? And then that order is unique. So that is why you have the customer ID, sorry, the order ID, and this, in this case, it can be a composite primary key as well, because the order ID cannot be repeated twice. It's unique for every order, right? Even if the order is placed by the same customer, the first order, the second order, the third order, okay? So here you have the customer, the employee that dealt with it, and that is the shipper that actually dispatched the goods, okay? And that is the shipper address, that is where the goods is going. And this is the cost for the shipping, the freight. You can see now we're beginning to come into the numbers, okay? Now, we can see the numbers, we can see the customer, we can see the orders, but we cannot see the product, right? And that is where we now have another table, which is now the order details. We give the details of this order. So, and the only thing that will have relationship with it is going to be this order ID and the product. So if I open this, you can see I have the order ID, which is coming from here, and I have the product, which is telling me the details of that product. So you, in the front end, when you are doing this, you will see it as one form, but you can see how it has broken down into so many forms in the background. And this is where you, as the data engineer, this is where you come in. This is where you now become the expert.
Sorry,
so
sir.
The business sometimes, sorry, let me finish. The business sometimes, when even at work, they tell me, oh, I can see this, I can see that. I said, look, the way you see it is not the way it is in the background. Why am I not seeing this? So, no, they are stored in different tables. So I have to go and investigate what is the relationship that brings about that for me to see it for you, what you're seeing in the front end. Okay? All right, ask your question.
Yes, sir. I can see in the other details, they have 2 primary keys. How is that possible?
Yeah, I said to you, composite key. Composite. Which is when you have more than one column, right, to form a uniqueness.
Okay.
You have more than one column. Like here. Where's that? Where is that? Oh, I think it's this one. Let me bring that in. Sorry. I can't even find it. I'm coming. I have that opened earlier. Okay, here, right? Here, we have Yinka Balogun, right?
Okay.
If these two Yinka Baloguns buy the same product, how do you know? But there were two different Yinka Balogun. So for it to be unique is that I have to join Yinka Balogun, right? One to the product.
Okay.
Right? So meaning that it's this one and where's the product table? And this one together, right? And then this one and also this one together.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes,
You
sir.
and you say, for example, your son is your name Junior, right? And you bought the same thing, right? How are they going to differentiate you? Okay,
Me.
so that is why we have composites. Sometimes it's to create that when a column, right, is not strong enough to identify a row, then you use two. Okay.
Yes, so you
So
combine
you
the.
have you have Yinka Balogun male, you have Yinka Balogun female.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you know which of them bought? So, but when you tie the name and the gender together, it's unique, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so that's why that's the kind of a situation where you use composite. It's called composite primary key.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. So any other questions? So now what we are going to be looking at is this NotWin database. And we're going to be interrogating it. But first of all, I want to take you through the process of how you're going to interrogate it. A lot of people might look at it as it's very, very complex. I will say it is complex as it's not complex. Depends on your mindset. But I want to encourage you to have the mindset that it is simple. Have the mindset that it is simple. If I can know it, you can know it. I wasn't born with it. I learned it. I'm not any better off than you. The only thing which I did was just to make sure that I was consistent and persistent in it. And like I said, and I normally say to my students is that keep practicing, practicing. You may think you're not getting it. You will get it. When you need it, it will come to bear. Keep practicing, practicing. This kind of trade or industry is practice, practice, practice. It's just like the athletes. They get better and better with every training, right? So you just keep practicing, just keep practicing. And one thing is you have your own database, you have your own server, you have your own database. Do whatever you want, break it. The worst that can happen is you will have to just do a reinstall. You delete that one and you put another one in there and you continue. Okay. But I'll try my best, if time permits, to give you a lot of angles, what you can do and what you can do, and also to go into a bit of visualizing this as well, because that's where the world is going. We're just not seeing the numbers because look, what we're seeing here, you can't give it to the business like that. They want you to make sense out of it for them, right? And that is when your querying skill, your SQL querying skill comes in. And for you to create a report, you need to be able to create queries. It's the query, like the name says, you are querying it, you are interrogating it, and then it gives you back your result set. Like this one now, this is a query, right? And I've just told it, look, go and fetch me the top 1,000 rows from this table. The first 1,000 rows, go and fetch me, right? And this is the result set. And if I scroll down, you can see, yeah, there's not up to 1,000 rows in this table. There's only 831 rows. And then also you can see here that some of them, because it allows null, you see, you can see nulls there. They're blank, no data in there. Where you see these places, there's no data at this point. Okay. Okay, we've been talking. Let's take a 10 minutes break. And then when we come back, we're now going to go into SQL proper. All right? So let's take 10 minutes. Jide, can you pause the video? Jide? Is he there? Jide? We're coming back. Sorry, we're coming back in 10 minutes now. That is 2:55. Okay? See you in a bit.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, welcome back. So, picking up from where we left, I guess you can still see my screen. Can you still see my screen?
Not yet.
Yes,
We're
sir.
seeing you.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's go into the foundation of SQL. Okay, like I've been explaining, when you do your installation, you're installing the SQL Server engine on your machine, which you cannot reach directly because it's running on in memory on your local machine when you start up your SQL. Okay, but then you will need another tool, which is your SSM, which is the SQL Server management service to connect to it, and that is what you can see on my screen right now. This is my SSMS, which is my SQL Server Management Studio, rather. So my SQL Server Management Studio connects to my data, my server.
Please,
Not
sir,
just
I'm
the
not.
database.
I'm not. Sorry, sir, I'm not seeing your screen. No.
Refresh your screen because others can see.
Okay.
Yeah, refresh. Okay. So you connect to it, right? It connects to the engine, the database engine, which is running on your local machine. And I'll show you where that is. And you can see that we can't really see it. Okay, let me bring that in. Where is that? Okay. Let me bring this into the phone.
So are you sharing your screen?
Yeah. Can you not see?
Maybe it's on my end. I can see.
Okay, let me stop.
I cannot see your screen even after refreshing it.
Hold on 1 second.
We can't see your screen.
Jide? Okay, I'll do that again. Yeah, it's showing me. Okay, let me reshare. Okay. Oh, Jide has disabled me. Jide, you have disabled me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay. Let me check the name. SOM.
Yeah, it should be SOM admin as well.
Yeah, I've changed it now, sir.
Okay. Let me try again. Okay, yeah, good. Which screen is that? 2. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Apologies for that. My Oga kicked me out. I didn't know. All right. Okay. So you see, when you install your SQL Server management, sorry, the SQL Server engine, right? After the installation, you come back, you go into your machine and you go to this PC. And then under this PC, you go to Windows. Okay, let me go step back. You see, I click on this PC, and then it comes to your devices and drives. Click on that, and then you look for this one, which is, you have two, the program files and program files x86. No, you don't need the x86, it's just the one with the program files. The x86 is when we were using the Windows, the 32-bit hardware, but now we're on 64 bits. So it's this one, which is the program files. Double click on that, and then you scroll down until you can find SQL. You see Microsoft SQL Server. Where is that? Okay, Microsoft SQL Server, this one. You double click on that folder, and then it opens up. You see this. Depending on the name of your installation, right? Most of the time, if you do not give any specific name, then it's going to come in as the name of your laptop, of your laptop identifier. Okay, and then you see this one. Depending, yes, yours too may not be 16, because mine, I think I'm on 2019. Yours is 2022, so yours will be different. I think yours will be 19 rather than 16. Okay, and then you see where it says MSQL, the number, then dot the name of your machine. Double click on that. Then it comes to this folder. Double click on that as well. The backup file which Jide should have sent you by now or shared, you will copy that and you place that in here. You see this database which we're looking at. This is the data. This is where I restored it from. So this one, you see, I've sent in this file to him, which is not win.bak, and that BAK stands for backup, really. So that's the file you're going to install on your local machine. And this is where your SQL, this is the engine. This is your SQL installation, but you see, you can't do anything really with it. You can't read it, you can't do anything. So the only way you can access it or read it is when you now have your SQL, when you have your SSMS, let me type in SSMS, it should bring that up. When you have your SSMS, and this SMS now connects you to the engine. So for me to do that, you see here, you can click on, I select, I want to connect. You will see this when you're logging in, and that is the name of my my laptop and the SQL server which I installed on this local machine. Okay, if you click on that, I have two different instances, but this is the one that is more active. And then if there are more, I can check for more here. Okay, and then what you do is, once you do that, and then you click on connect, then it connects to the engine.
I've sent the link to the chat so they can download the file then.
Okay, so please go to the chat and download the link and download the backup file. Okay. And if we have time, no, because you've not installed your SQL server, so we can't.
Sorry, Yinka. This link now, can we access this link after this lecture? Because most of us have not downloaded the SQL server.
I don't think so.
So we cannot use it.
Yeah. No, just click on it and download it, and it's going to be on your machine. Once you click on download, it will download to your machine. Then you can access it later on. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So don't wait to the end of the class. Just click on the download now. It's not going to disturb anything. Just download it and have it, and then you will have it in your download folder on your machine. Okay. So now we connect to it, and that is what I've done here. I'm not going through that. Okay, and that is then you can now we can now do the installation of your database. Okay, so let's get started. When you connect like this, you see this window here, which is white. There's a drop down next to it. And this drop down actually lists all the databases that is on this server. Okay.
Sorry, I can't see anything you're sharing anymore. It seems, I don't know whether I'm the only one.
Go to the chat.
Sorry.
My share is still on.
Oh,
do a refresh.
Okay, sir.
Is it coming on? Is it?
I can see your screen, sir. I don't know if it's just particularly.
Yeah. So can you just do a refresh? You should be able to see because other can say it.
Sorry, Sayinka. When you're trying to download it, it's asking you what medium you want to use to open it. Word document, Notepad, Windows Media Player, browser apps in the Microsoft Store.
You should just be able to download it without having to do that.
Just download it directly. You see download. Somebody sends.
Don't
no
open
preview.
it. Yeah,
don't open it, just download.
Don't open it, just download.
Okay.
Yeah, don't open it. Just don't open it, just download it and leave it there. We will deal with it later on. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this window here gives you the list of all the databases, and once you open a query window, if I want to open a new query window, I come into here, I click on new query, and then it opens another window. But you can see here, it's showing me that it is the master database that this window is connected to. Okay, I need to change that to the database which I want to interrogate. So here I'll come in here and then I can select Northwind, and then it changes. So anything I write here now is going to execute against the Northwind database. Okay, it's going to execute against the Northwind database. But say for an adventure you don't do that, and you want to write a query, it's still pointing to. Let's do. Let me do this. So let's start from. Let me even do my clients. Okay. You can see if I execute it against it, it says invalid object name, meaning that this object name, which is that my table, is not present in this database. But is either I come in here and I change it, or I can also do something. I can say use Northwind, right? Use Northwind, and then I put a semicolon there, and then I can execute, and it's going to return back. But then you can see straight away it has changed to the Northwind for me, because here I've given the instruction that it should use this database. Okay, so sometimes when you may not know, by default when you open a new query window, it goes to the master database. So you have to be careful to make sure you change it to the appropriate database which you want to interrogate. Okay, once we're there, now let us begin to look at our SQL. It says here, SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It says we have structured and unstructured database data. So this one is for structured queries and the language for that. And then say SQL lets you access and manipulate databases. You access it, you can manipulate databases like we've done a few of them now. And then it says SQL became a standard of the American National Standard Institute, that is in 1986, ANSI filed, and the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, in 1987. So what can SQL do? It says SQL can execute queries against a database. It can retrieve data from a database. It can insert record into a database or tables. It can update It can delete data. It can also create, we can also create new databases. We can create tables in the database. We can create what's called a stored procedure. We can create views. We can create permission. We can set permissions. And setting permissions really is like in the business environment. You will have, if you're a data engineer or a data analyst, you probably will only, on the business application, you probably will give you a read access only. And read access only means that you can only retrieve data and view it. You cannot write it, like I did inserted earlier before we went on break. In normal environment, I cannot do that. I can only do that if it's our own data warehouse, which we had the master of. But then on the business application, I cannot do that. It is the administrator, that's the database administrator for the business systems, that will always handle that. And most of the time, you don't even write directly to it. It is the tool that actually writes back into the database. Okay, and then we have, you will probably come across what is called the RDMS, which is Relational Database Management System, which is what SQL is. And we have quite a few of them. We have SQL, we have Oracle, we have DB2, we have Netezza, which is fading out really. Yeah, we have M3 as well, and so forth. And then we have the non-structured one. We have the MongoDB, we have Cassandra, and stuff like that. Even in Microsoft also, we have the Cosmos DB as well, which is an Azure default database for file storage. Okay, so it says the MDBS is the basis for SQL and all modern databases, such as which I've just listed. I said the data in RMDBS is stored in a database object called tables. A table is a collection of related entries and it contains columns and rows. Okay, we have looked at a bit of this. So where do we start from? SQL statements. Said most of the actions you will perform on a database are done using SQL statement, which sometimes people call it SQL query as well. Statement or queries is the same thing. So the following SQL statement: select all records from the customer table, which is this. So I'm saying select, which is, I say, go and fetch me. That's what select means. Go and fetch me all the columns and all the rows and all the columns and all the rows from this object, which is called the customers table. So it goes in there and brings back everything, every column, every row. When you use this select, we call this select star. Select star, okay? Go in, fetch me all the columns, all the rows from that table. Executing that, I have that set, so I didn't have that set to not wind. I have to change that to not wind. And then I'm ready to go, and then I can execute that. And then you can see I am highlighting the statement I want to execute. I am highlighting the statement I want to execute, and the reason is this: because I have other statements written on this canvas. If I execute without highlighting, it's going to execute everything on this canvas, and it's going to throw me an error because some of these things are not even SQL statements. Okay, so because I have so many things here, I have to highlight it, and then I click on execute. You can say this button, execute, and then it returns back. And it returned back to me at the bottom right corner here where you see my cursor hovering. You can see that the bottom right, the yellow line. Okay, it's telling me the number of rows that are affected. So I have 96 rows here. And then you can see everything. And this is just all the customers I have. And if I come here, I open the customer and then you can see everything: customer ID, company name, contact name here, okay, contact title, address, city, and so forth. So that is bringing back everything in that table. So when you use the select star, it is bring back everything. But you have to be careful using select star. And the reason is that because of these days we have huge data volume. Like in my workplace, we have data going back to 1996 or 1995. I can't remember exactly, but going back to that period. And what is 1996, 1995 data? What's the relevance for us now? Yeah, it might be relevant when we're looking at machine learning and artificial intelligence, right? But for operational and strategic planning, we don't need those. What we need is probably the last 5 years. So if I do a select star on a table that's got records up dating back to 1999, it's going to return back that, and that will be millions and millions of rows. Say, for example, in the telecom industry, at every point in time, wherever you are, your phone sends back signal to the mast, and the mast records the exact location of your phone at every point in time, and it goes back and forth like that. So in a day, your phone probably will have generated thousands of rows of contact back to the mast. So if you now do a select star and you're returning back everything for everybody that is on that network, you can imagine the volume of data, and we would probably take forever for that result set to render. So that is why it's always good. Yes, select star is good when you have small quantity of data or small volume of data. But when the volume is high, then you have to put a restriction, which we're going to get to how we're going to restrict that. So, and here, and sometimes you may not even need all the columns to return. You may just be interested in 1 or 2 or 3 columns. So why are you returning back everything when you only need 1 or 2 of the columns there? And that is when you now begin to do what? You now begin to specify the columns that you want to be returned. So it says here, it says the select statement. The select statement is used to select data from a database. The select state, the data returned is stored in a result table. And like I showed here earlier, which I can bring back, this is our result table. This is not the actual table. This is just a copy of the data that is in the back end. It only took a copy, okay? It only took a copy from the database or in that on the table in that database, okay? So it returns it, that is called the result set. But then when we want to begin to use syntax, say we now do a select, and then you begin to list the columns which you want to actually return. So in this case, we look at it as this. It says select. I want to see the column. The customer ID. I want to see the company name, and I want to see the country. Right. These are the 3 columns I want to see from the customers table. So I'm saying, go and fetch me customer ID, company name, country from the customers table. So if I execute this, and this is going to return back to me. You see, initially I returned all the rows and all the columns, but now we're only returning all just these 3 columns. But we're still returning all the rows. 3 columns, all the rows. The previous was all the columns and all the rows. Okay. I was supposed to give you an exercise on this one, but because we've not really gone into it, so I'll skip that. But I'll have tutorials for you. Okay. You can see here. I'm just doing the same thing. Here again, I have what is called the distinct. The distinct select statement. It says the distinct statement is used to return only distinct, different rows. So for example, it says inside a table, a column often contains many duplicates. So sometimes if you go to the orders table, which I showed you earlier, a customer can be repeated so many times. The number of times the customer has actually placed an order will be the number of times that customer will have appeared in that orders table. But then if I now want to see the times when you just want to know the customers that have actually placed orders, when the business wants to find out, okay, we have 200 customers, but not all 200 customers have actually placed an order. Okay, so where do you find that from? You find that from the orders table. But then if you go to there and do a select star from the orders table, it's going to return everything that is in the in that orders table. But you don't want that. You just want to see one occurrence of each customers that are actually placed an order. And that is when you use the distinct. And the distinct is more also like the group by, which we're going to get to later on. So it's the group by. It says, and sometimes you only want to list the different distinct values. So what were we doing here? Right? We start with distinct and then we do our statement. So let's look at this. Let's create one. Please stop me and ask questions as you along the way. Select distinct. And this time I want customer ID. From orders table. I want it from the orders table. Okay, let me take out the distinct and then see. Okay, I've taken out the distinct. And then you can see this customer is repeated 6 times, and this one is repeated 3 times, and this 4 times, and this one, you can see that's the number of times each of these customers have actually placed orders. So, but now you will see the difference here now. If I apply the distinct, so if I say distinct, and you can see it's only returning one unique value for each of the customers. Okay, so what that keyword, the distinct, does is that it returns back a unique value for each of the values. If there are 300 Yinka Balogun in there, it's just going to return 1. Okay, it's just going to return 1. It will remove all duplicates. So far it occurs 1 or many times in that table, is going to return 1. The only thing that is not going to return is the customer ID that is not present in the table. Because the customer ID is not present in the table, even for once, then it's not going to return because it's not aware of it. Okay, so distinct is actually returning unique value. It returns unique value. Okay, remove all the duplicates. Okay, and then I have says the following SQL statement, select all, includes the duplicate, which is what I've just demonstrated. The value from the country, yes, which is what I've just demonstrated, just using a different column now. Okay. The same thing here, which is we're finding the distinct from. And you can say for the countries, we have 22 countries, and that is coming from the customer table. But remember, for the customer table, we have 96 customers registered. But here, we only have 22 rows returned. So meaning that we have multiple clients or customers from one country. Okay. And then we can even make it a little bit more unique, less unique rather, which is, okay, we want to see the country and also want to see the city. So we're going to have more a country repeated, but what city will be only unique. Okay. So you can see here, Argentina has got that, and then you can see Canada, Montreal, Canada, Tswani, Canada, Vancouver, Germany, since US. So okay, look at UK. UK has got 2 occurrences, that is Clouds and then London. And the US, there's a blank, so it's not returning anything for that. It's the occurrence, and then you have Venezuela. So the country will not be unique, but the city is unique. And the reason is because what we're saying here is that give me the country and the city. If we are to be the country, we have broken it down. Sorry, we are at the top of the category here. But by the time we apply city to it, then we're saying, no, it's not going to be, we want the country, yes, but then we want the city. The city is what is going to be unique now. Okay. And then if you want to go a little bit further, we can also say within the city, okay, give me the different postcodes or something like that. All right. Any questions?
So, sorry, if we want to select the cities, I thought the city will it give return different value if we select this thing, because initially that would be the first thing I want to do, to select distinct city from country, if I had not seen this now. For example, if you're on the database now and you just give us a quiz now, select distinct, you want to bring out all the different cities, you want to count them.
Yeah, if you want to bring the cities without looking at it based on the country, then you just do city, and then it's going to give you unique cities, right, without the country. But then when the country, sorry, but then when a city occurs in the name of the city occurs in another country as well. So for example, now in the US, we have Birmingham, and we have Birmingham here as well, right? It's going to return just only one Birmingham, because you are not differentiating if it's going to give you the Birmingham in UK or Birmingham in the US.
Yes, I get it. But okay, what I'm actually trying to say, I understand that, is that if like the same result that he has returned now is actually what I'm looking for, to select distinct countries, irrespective of where the countries is, just like the result we've seen now. If I do it that select distinct city from country, is it going to be?
You cannot select city from country, because country is not a table. Country is a column.
Okay.
You can see this. You are selecting it from the customer table, not from the country. Country is not a table. Country is a column in this. You can look at it here. That is country here. And this is the table. So you can see here, it says DBO customers, and then columns. And these are the columns. So country is a column in this table.
Okay.
So you cannot select from countries.
Okay.
You can only select from a table. You cannot select from a column. You can only select from a table. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can twist it this way. If I change it around, it says city, country. Maybe that's what you're trying to say, city and then country before country, right? It's still going to return the same results to me, because why? We will look at it. It's going to be unique because each city, right, is to a country.
That's what I mean, yeah.
It's still to a country. Okay. The only difference which is going to return the different, okay, let's look at this, is return by 72 rows. But if I take away the country, and only do the city, it might probably return the same thing in this instance. Why? Is because there is no ambiguity in the name of the cities. If to say we have Birmingham, UK and Birmingham, US, for example, in this database, right? And then we do that, it's going to return just one Birmingham.
Okay.
If we do it this way. But when we include the country, then it's going to return the two Birmingham, UK, Birmingham, US. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So there's also supposed to be an exercise here. So it says, no. You know, like I said earlier, that when we do a select star, it returns back everything within that table, both in rows and in columns. Okay. And then I did select specifying the columns I want to return, which was the customer ID, the company name, and the country. But then it still returned, it only returned those 3 columns, but then it returned all the rows. Now I don't want everything. I want to apply a filter. I want to restrict the result set that I'm going to get. Based on, I'll now set a condition for that query that if the record in the data in the table meets this condition, then return it. And that is what we use the where clause. We call it the where clause, right? It says the where clause is used to filter records. You know, like I mentioned earlier, that my company, we have records going back to 1995, right? I can now say, okay, select star from customer table where entry year equals 2024. So it's only going to return to me customers that actually were signed up this year. But if I do not put the where clause, it's going to return back everything to me. So it says what? The where clause is used to apply filters. Okay? It is used to extract only those records that fulfill a specified condition. Okay? So I'm going to put the where clause and the syntax. So it says here, select. I list my columns. I can list as many columns as I want from my table where the condition is states. It says note. The where column is used only in select statement. It is not used in update, delete, insert, and stuff like that. Okay.
So sorry. So the where clause, is it similar to the distinct?
No, it's not similar. Distinct is returning back uniqueness. Unique. But the where clause is a filter.
Okay.
The distinct is only returning back one occurrence per multiple occurrence that occurs in the table.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the filter can return back duplicates. It's not returning back uniqueness. It's returning back records that satisfy the condition which you specify.
Okay.
Okay. So it says here, we're doing a select star, which we're returning back everything, which is this. But now we're saying select star from customers where country, which is a column in that table, where country, which is saying that where the country is recorded in the country column, right, as Mexico. It's returned back as Mexico. Okay, so I'm saying select star from customers where country equals Mexico. And you can see I have Mexico enclosed within 2 apostrophes. Oh, sorry, open and close, right? And the reason is when the data you are trying to or the column is a numeric, sorry, it's a string column. right, a text column, then you have to enclose it within this. If it were to be numeric, you don't have to apply anything because it's numbers. But when I go into data types next week, I'll tell you. Okay, so I'm saying just give me where the country is Mexico. Execute this. And you can see it has filtered out. And you can see here, it's only Mexico. So they can say, you know, how many customers do we have in Mexico? How many sales have we made in Mexico within this period of time? Right? We're beginning to build that answer gradually. So now we're applying a filter to the data. And if the record is not available, right, it will return back a blank. Let's look for a country that I know is not here. Let's look for Niger Republic. I know Niger Republic is not here. So when I say where country is that, and then you can see it returns back nothing because that condition is not met. In the country column, there is no Niger. Okay, so when you write a query and you get a blank like this, blank result set, meaning that record or that condition is not met, and that means that there's nothing in that table that meets your condition. If I change this back to, I think I have Nigeria there. I think I have Nigeria. Yeah, I have Nigeria there. And it's just one record. And then I can change that. I can say, even I think I have the UK there as well. UK. And that's UK.
Sorry, Yinka.
Yes?
Sorry, what just a quick one. The statement is really not confusing, but what is confusing there is when do you use a comma and when do you use semicolon? When do you, because when you're writing the statement, I can see the statements you've written. Some you use comma, some you use semicolon. So at what point do you know the displays are required to use comma?
This semicolon,
yeah,
right, is used at the end of a statement. You may or you may not use it. If you don't want, you may not use it. If I take it out, it does not stop this statement from working. Still works.
Okay, you still get the same result.
You still get the same result, but it's just good practice for you to differentiate.
Okay.
So this is the end of this statement.
Okay.
In fact, normally, this is the way you should go.
So under what condition
we don't just use it anymore. It's not, the engine understands it. That's why. So I'm not really. So this is the way it should be written. That is in the old ways, but the system is advanced now. So the engine knows this by default.
Okay.
Okay. So if I execute this, you say it's come back. You say because why the engine is not taking this anymore, right? So sorry. But that's the old way, okay? So the semicolon, not really necessary. But when you are listing the columns, like I have done here, I've listed the columns, right? This comma separates each column. Let's do one. Let's do together. So I do a select customer ID, comma, right? And then, okay, let me do this and then I'll explain that. Customer ID. I want to cheat. Oops. Where is that? I can drag and drop. Country. Let me just do this to it. Okay. Some of the things I'm doing here, they're not mandatory. It depends on your preference. Aligning everything here, it's my preference. It's just the way I write to make it decent to read. Okay. Now I've created this. You can see there's still wiggly lines. These wiggly lines sometimes it's called IntelliSense, but sometimes it might be that there's a delay in updating the engine, and the wiggly line may remain even when your code is right. But what it tells you, normally when I see a wiggly line, that's, oh, there's something wrong. This red wiggly line, that's why it's red. Oh, something is wrong, right? But like I said, sometimes it might take the IntelliSense time to understand the update that has happened in your database or query. Okay, so you can put your comma here on the right, which is what I prefer. Okay, when you are writing a query like this and you put your comma on the right, you're starting from the first, you are going to omit the last one because it's the last to your from statement or function. The last one. You see, if I put a comma there, it's going to give me straight away, it's telling me that something is wrong. There's an incorrect character here. If I execute this, it's going to tell me that. Let me execute it and see. You can see incorrect syntax near the keyword from. It says it's an incorrect syntax. If I take it out, it will run well. Okay? Then the wiggly line goes off. Like I said, having my comma to separate each column, right? I prefer it on the right as it is now. If I do not put that comma separation between them, what happens is that the engine reads everything as one line. Okay? And it will now go in and say, I'm looking for customer ID, customer name, customer, as one line. And you know that that is not present in your database. You have customers column, customer ID column, customer company name as columns, not as everything as one as a column. No. So that is what the comma does. So when you have to differentiate each column by separating it with a comma. And like I said, I prefer the right. But if you choose, you may choose to not put your comma on the right and put it on the left. But when you are putting it on the left, you are not going to start from the first here. You are going to start from the second and you'll do it to the end. And then if you look at it that you transpose that to the other side, it will still mean, so look at it this way. I have my comma here. Sorry, just comma. I have my comma here and I have my comma here. So just look at it this way, that you take this comma and you put it here. You take this comma and you put it here. You take this comma and you put it here. Okay? So when you are on the left, you know you have to do it from the second line to the last. When you're doing it on the right, you do it from the first to the second to the last. Okay? Okay, so if I execute this, it's going to return back the same thing. If I put it on the right, it's the same thing. Okay, now I have listed that. What we're trying to do, we now want to apply where country, which is a column. I'm saying I want to filter on the column country, where the condition is that the country name should be Mexico in this case, in this instance, Mexico. The country name is Mexico, and it's going to return back only Mexico to me.
Okay, so let me take you back a little, sir.
Okay.
I can see each of the customer ID. We are putting them on different rows. And
No,
putting the
we are not
commas.
putting customer IDs on different rows. We're putting, which one are you talking about? The one highlighted or the result set?
Yes, the one highlighted now.
The one highlighted was not putting customer ID. This is a column name. Which is
that's
this?
that's what I want to say. Can we put them on the same row? And
you can put it this way.
commas?
You can put it this way. Nothing stops you.
Okay.
I said it's just nothing stops you. You can put it this way. Doesn't matter. All you have to do, make sure you just have to still continue with the
commas.
Yeah, even this here, you will still execute. You will still execute.
Sorry, why is the customer ID not in brackets?
Because I typed that in. Okay, thank you for that observation. I typed this one in. I dragged these ones from here. And the engine always encloses column names, right, in square brackets. If I drag it from here now, and put it in here, it will do the same. Right? Okay. But either it's got bracket or doesn't have bracket, makes no difference. The only thing that makes a difference, where it makes a difference, is that when you have, say for example, this company name, for example, and you have it written out as this in a database, right? If I do not enclose, it's giving me the wiggly line because there is no name like that in the table. If I do not enclose it in the square bracket, it's going to read it as two separate columns, and it will throw an error that does not exist. It will throw it out. Okay, so you find out that the engine normally, by default, encloses in the square bracket, right? Just as standard. And then when they create, as best practice also in SQL in data engineering, is that when you create a column name, either you join the name together, like in this case, company name, you join the two words together, or you want to separate them, then you have to put them as with an underscore. Separate that way with an underscore. If I separate that way with an underscore, though this is going to throw me an error because it doesn't exist, I can afford not to put it within the square bracket. The engine will read it as one name. Okay, the engine will read it as one name.
But in this case, it does not exist in the database.
Yeah, because that is why it's giving the wiggly lines.
And sir, is SQL, is it case sensitive?
Depend on how you set your engine. Okay, depends on how you set your engine. I don't want to go into it, but let me show you quickly how I will know if it's I have to be case sensitive or not. If I come into here and then I click on that and then I right click and then it takes me to properties. And then when I click on properties, it's going to open another window. And then I can see here it says correlation. The correlation is telling me is CI, the CI stands for case insensitive. If it is case sensitive, it will be CS. Okay, but most these days, it's normally we try not to use anything case sensitive, so you can use a mix. Okay, I can come in here and I can type in this one name. I can type it in as this one. It will still read it as the same thing. You say it's not showing me any wiggly line because it's case insensitive. It will still return back the same thing. Come back in here and put this one as small c. It will still return back the same c. It's case insensitive.
Please, I want to take you back a little.
Okay.
When you started, you said that data is arranged into, there are two main types of data, like arranged, or I don't know whether you call it arranged or organized, unorganized data.
Structured and
unstructured.
Yeah, please, what's the difference, please?
The structured is like it is now. We have a collection of related how do I put it for you to understand? Collection of related properties that describes an entity. The entity in this case now is our customer. Okay, and these are the properties that describe the customer. So the customer ID, the customer name, the contact from that customer, the country where the customer is based or where he operates from, in this case. And then the unstructured one is the journey which you take on, say, for example, on Amazon, right? The Amazon one will take, it will probably will not have your name, but it will show you, will go back, and Jida is going to show you that. It's going to show you the items which you bought, your journey from the start. How did you get onto their page? To how you ended up, how you closed their page, which is all the pages. Say, you know what, when you log into Amazon, let's look at something together. Let me see. Let's look at this. Can you still see my screen? Yeah. Okay. How did I get here? How did I get here? I can tell you how I got here, which is by stepping back. What did I do first? I typed in, I went in, opened the browser, and I typed in a filter. I typed in SSMS and I execute, and I clicked on the next thing. That is a journey. It could be from anybody, it's unstructured. It's not linked to my name. Okay? It is the browser that is going through the journey. So they can see what, okay, from this page, went to that page, or put in this this keyword, and then click on this, click on the button, and then get this result, and then scroll. What is the probability that I'm going to select any one of these ones here? It doesn't know. So I clicked on it. Why did I click on it? We want to know. To see how they can, most of the time, especially for e-commerce site, they want to know how they can serve you better, how they can throw so many things onto you to buy. So that is why you find out that once you've gone in, do your browser and you do a search, the next time you go back, maybe you went to look for a denim top, right? The next time you go back, probably you go onto your Facebook and anything, and then you just see pump. You just see an advert for denim top. You understand? So that is what they're trying to do. The data is unstructured. It cannot really say what is actually the properties here. Because why? You don't even know who this is. You only know it's my browser. You don't know if I'm a male, if I'm a female. But these days, Microsoft and Google, they are changing. And that is, for you to open a browser, you have to have looks, though you can, but you have an account. So it traces it back to you, and then they can use that data. But then for them, they don't have any other details about you. It's just that. And they want to use it to do machine learning, and they want to use it to do more deeper analytics to see what they can offer you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that's very clear. And then, please, I want to ask, could it be that structured data is from table, from pre-created table?
You know, it's not big. It's not table, because unstructured data too are stored in. We tend to move them, which Jide is going to show you. We tend to move them from their unstructured space to structured environment.
Okay.
For us to be able to do some manipulation and transformation on them as well. But then why is it unstructured? Is because it does not follow a particular pattern. Okay, let me see what I can show you here. Let me see. Can I see it here? I can't see. There's a place here where I can see. Let me see if I can see it here.
Is your
okay,
history?
So, no, look at this now. There's data here, but it's unstructured. And you now there's software to use to extract, because there are tags. You can see here, look at what I've just highlighted here. Those are tags. And they're telling you something. You see, name equals referrer. You understand? These are data, they are unstructured. Look at that. That is leading to something. And if I go deeper, I will be able to find some things here, right? So I have gone to that site and I can look at it, and it will tell them, they will be able to get the journey which I've been through. Control, where's that? Source, right? You can see this one, yeah. This is unstructured data. And it's not stored it's stored in a flat file, right? And for us as data engineer, we want to extract this and put it into tables, because we can't use it the way it is here now. And that is what we use Python to do, right? You can use Python to extract this data. You can see all these ones, the head, the style, everything. There's data in here. Definitely, you can see what it's saying here. Class equals, right? Page title, there, and that's the.
Hello, sir. It's Koblo, sir.
Say that again.
It's Koblo. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, Koblo. Yeah, you can talk. Yeah, talk, please.
Okay. I think what Uncle Yinka is trying to say is that, like, what he's doing now is an HTML page for a web browser. So this is what is on the back end, and then you are seeing something different on the main browser when you go into info@microsoft.com. But this is really what's going on behind that page you are seeing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you are doing something like web scraping, maybe you're trying to get customer reviews from previous sales that have gone on in a website. So you get data, but it's not going to be orderly. So after getting that, after doing the web scraping, you have to make that data understandable to any other format you want to do. That's where the structure comes in.
Yes.
So I don't think even in this level you should be worried about the structure and non-structure. So right now you should be worried that, okay, the data you have is structured and it's ready for you to work on. So the structured data is the data that has to undergo another level of cleaning and something that will make it appreciated by other people. Just like this HTML page you are seeing. If you are seeing this on a web page, when you open it, you won't appreciate it. You won't know that this is where the paragraphs are.
Yeah,
this is the title of the page.
Look at this script now. This is this page.
This is the main page. So that other one is the source file. Okay, the source code. So that's what's happening in the back end. Okay. So I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yes, it does. Makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.